If one specific metal were to vanish from the face of the Earth tomorrow, the global food supply would collapse within seasons. Your car would become a stationary block of dead weight, and the most effective treatments for aggressive cancers would simply cease to exist. Yet, for centuries, the world's most powerful empires treated this substance as literal garbage. It is a metal that refuses to age, refuses to rust, and refuses to participate in the chaos of chemistry that defines almost everything else on our planet. It sits in your jewelry, in your veins, and in the sensors of your engine, watching human history unfold with a cold, silver indifference. It is element 78, platinum. The story of how the debris of the most violent event in the universe ended up in our hands begins in a muddy riverbank in the mid-16th century. A Spanish soldier stands knee-deep in the Rio Pinto in what is now Colombia. The heat is suffocating, the mosquitoes are relentless, and the threat of tropical disease is a constant shadow over his expedition. He is searching for gold, the only thing that justifies the slaughter and the suffering of the conquest. In his pan, among the yellow flakes, he finds small, heavy grey pebbles. They are annoying. They are harder than silver and heavier than lead, and they clutter the pan, making it harder to isolate the real treasure. He calls it platina, a derogatory diminutive of plata, the Spanish word for silver. In his mind, he is looking at little silver, a stunted, useless version of the metal he actually wants. The orders from the Spanish crown are clear: throw it back. Soldiers were often commanded to dump these grey grains back into the river to prevent them from being used to debase gold coins. They were discarding a substance that would eventually be worth more than the entire cargo of their galleons, unaware that they were handling the remnants of a cosmic disaster. Before we go deeper into how this trash became the backbone of modern civilization and the key to our survival, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It is the only way we can continue to bring you these detailed investigations into the materials that quietly rule our world. To understand why the Spanish were so wrong about platinum, we have to look at where it came from. The standard science we learn in school tells us that all elements are born in stars. That is a half-truth. An ordinary star, even a massive one, is only a factory for the lighter elements. It can fuse hydrogen into helium and helium into carbon, all the way up to iron. But iron is the physical limit of a living star. Fusing anything heavier than iron requires more energy than it releases. At that point, the star's internal engine fails and it collapses. Platinum is element 78. To create a single atom of it, you need a level of neutron density and heat that does not exist inside any stable star. You need a kilonova. In August 2017, for the first time in human history, we actually saw it happen. Two observatories, LIGO in the US and Virgo in Italy, detected ripples in the fabric of space-time, gravitational waves from a source 130 million light-years away in the galaxy NGC 4993. Two neutron stars, the collapsed, ultra-dense cores of dead giants, had spent billions of years spiraling toward each other. When they finally collided at a significant fraction of the speed of light, the explosion was so intense it warped the geometry of the universe. In the fraction of a second during that collision, a process called the R process occurred. The environment was so saturated with neutrons that atomic nuclei were forced to swallow them faster than they could decay. In that singular moment of violence, tons of gold, uranium, and platinum were forged and sprayed into the vacuum of space. Every gram of platinum on Earth was born in an event like that, billions of years before our sun even existed. But there is a mystery in the geology of platinum. It is a siderophile element, meaning it loves iron. When the Earth was young and molten, the platinum should have dissolved into the liquid iron and sunk to the center of the planet. Geochemists estimate that there is enough platinum in the Earth's core to cover the entire surface of the globe in a layer several meters thick. However, it is 3,000 kilometers beneath our feet, forever out of reach. The platinum we actually mine, the platinum the Spanish found in the mud, arrived later. About 4 billion years ago, during a period called the Late Heavy Bombardment, the Earth was pummeled by a rain of asteroids and comets. These space rocks brought a fresh supply of precious metals that stayed in the cooling crust rather than sinking to the core. We are literally digging up the cooled splashes of a neutron star collision that hitched a ride to Earth on cosmic debris. When the European chemists finally got their hands on this quote, _7__ in the 18th century, it broke them. They were masters of fire. They could melt gold, copper, and iron, but platinum was a wall. It has a melting point of 1,768 degrees Celsius. To the furnaces of the 1700s, it might as well have been made of stone. The greatest minds of the era, including Antoine Lavoisier, the father of modern chemistry, tried and failed to melt it. Platinum was a ghost that haunted the laboratories of Europe, a metal that wouldn't tarnish, wouldn't dissolve in most acids, and wouldn't yield to the flame. It was the ultimate challenge to the industrial mind. We had found a piece of the stars, but for 200 years, we had no idea what to do with it.
We were like children who had found a high-tech key to a lock we hadn't yet built. As we move into the next chapter of its story, we'll see how one man turned this metal into a secret currency and how it eventually became the silent guardian of our atmosphere. For decades, platinum was the ultimate scientific nightmare. In the laboratories of the 18th century, it was known as the __8__ European chemists, who prided themselves on their ability to command the elements through heat and acid, found themselves humiliated by these stubborn grey grains. To them, the hierarchy of nature was simple. Gold was the king, and fire was the judge. But platinum made gold look fragile. It sat in the hottest furnaces of the time, glowing white-hot, mocking the flames, refusing to turn into a liquid. It was an insult to the Enlightenment's mastery over the material world. The problem wasn't just its melting point, it was its chemical defiance. Most metals, when exposed to the air or heated, eventually surrender to oxygen. They rust, they tarnish, they turn into colorful powders. Platinum did none of this. It remained cold, silver gray, and utterly unchanged. It was as if it didn't belong to the same dimension of reality as the other elements. And because it couldn't be melted or easily purified, it remained a curiosity, a bastard silver that had no place in the workshops of the world. This changed in the early 1800s, thanks to a man who understood that a secret is often more valuable than a discovery. His name was William Hyde Wollaston. He was an English chemist with a mind like a razor and a very modern approach to the intersection of science and profit. In 1800, Wollaston entered into a secret partnership with another scientist, Smithson Tennant. They bought nearly 8,000 ounces of raw platinum ore smuggled out of South America and began a decade-long project to decode its nature. Wollaston realized that to tame platinum, he didn't need more heat, he needed more chemistry. He developed a complex process of dissolving the ore in a mixture of acids called aqua regia, then precipitating it out as a fine powder, and finally using massive pressure and careful hammering to bind those particles together. This was the birth of powder metallurgy. For the first time, humanity had a way to produce solid, malleable bars of pure platinum. But here is where the story takes a dark, strategic turn. Wollaston didn't publish his method. For 20 years, he kept the process a total secret, operating a hidden business that made him a fortune. He sold platinum crucibles and laboratory equipment to other scientists,
but he refused to tell them how he made them. Why the secrecy? It wasn't just greed. Wollaston had realized something terrifying about the physics of this metal. He knew that platinum is denser than gold. Platinum has a density of 21.4 grams per cubic centimeter, while gold is 19.3. In a world where the entire global economy was based on the weight and purity of gold coins, this was a catastrophe waiting to happen. If someone knew how to work with platinum, they could create a bar of platinum, coat it in a thin layer of gold, and it would pass every test known to man. It would look like gold. It would resist acid like gold, and it would actually be heavier than a solid gold bar of the same size. Wollaston understood that if the secret of purifying platinum fell into the wrong hands, the financial foundations of the British Empire and the rest of Europe could crumble under a wave of perfect counterfeits. He chose to stay silent, becoming the world's only reliable source of the metal, effectively guarding the global economy by monopolizing the technology to manipulate it. While Wollaston was building his secret empire in London, a different kind of platinum revolution was brewing in the frozen heart of the Russian Empire.
In the 1820s, vast deposits of platinum were discovered in the Ural Mountains. The Russians found so much of it that they didn't know what to do with it. They were pulling kilograms of, quote, tin out of the ground every day. Unlike the Spanish, who threw it back into the rivers, the Russian government decided to conduct a radical economic experiment. Between 1828 and 1845, Russia became the only country in history to issue platinum as a general circulation currency. They minted coins in denominations of 3, 6, and 12 rubles. At the time, platinum was seen as a semi-precious curiosity, and the government fixed its value at roughly half the price of gold. For nearly 20 years, Russian peasants and merchants traded bits of a metal born in a neutron star collision to buy bread and livestock. But the experiment failed, and it failed because of the very thing that makes platinum special: its rarity. As the price of platinum began to fluctuate on the international market, the Russian government panicked. They feared that if the price of platinum rose too high, people would hoard the coins and melt them down. If it fell too low, the state would be bankrupt. In 1845, they suddenly stopped the production and recalled all the coins. Thousands of tons of platinum were pulled back into the state vaults, and the world went back to gold and silver. But the Ural discovery had proven one thing: platinum wasn't just a laboratory fluke, it was a global resource, and the race to control it was just beginning. As the 19th century progressed, the world became obsessed with a new concept: precision. As industry and science became more complex, we needed a way to ensure that a meter in Paris was the same as a meter in Berlin, and that a kilogram didn't change its weight depending on the humidity of the room. We needed objects that were immortal. We needed the ___, quote _ 14 _____. In 1875, 17 nations signed the Meter Convention. They decided to create physical artifacts that would represent the ultimate definitions of weight and length for the entire human race. To build these artifacts, they didn't choose steel, which rusts. They didn't choose gold, which is too soft. They chose an alloy of 90% platinum and 10% iridium. They created a cylinder known as the Grand K, the international prototype of the kilogram. It was kept in a triple-locked vault in Sèvres, France, under 2 glass bell jars. For over 130 years, that specific piece of platinum was the definition of mass. If a speck of dust landed on it, the entire world technically became slightly heavier. If an atom of platinum fell off it, the world became lighter. We entrusted our entire understanding of reality to the stability of this metal. And platinum didn't disappoint. While empires rose and fell, through 2 world wars and the rise of the digital age, the platinum-iridium prototypes sat in their vaults, unchanging. They were the silent anchors of civilization. They represented the one thing we could all agree on:
a physical constant in an inconstant world. But why is it so stable? Why does it refuse to change? The answer lies in the arrangement of its electrons. Platinum is a noble metal because its outer electron shells are nearly full and incredibly tightly bound to its nucleus. It simply doesn't want to share. While iron is desperate to bond with oxygen, and copper is eager to react with your skin, platinum is chemically aloof. It exists in a state of perpetual satisfaction. It doesn't need anything from the world around it.
This is why it can sit at the bottom of the ocean for 1,000,000 years and come up looking exactly as it did the day it was forged. This chemical indifference is exactly what made it the perfect tool for the next great leap in human technology. We didn't realize it yet, but the same metal that defined the kilogram was about to become the most powerful catalyst in history. It was about to go from being a passive standard to an active participant in our survival. We were about to discover that platinum doesn't just sit there, it makes things happen. It facilitates reactions that would otherwise be impossible. In the next part, we will move from the vaults of France to the engines of our cars and the fields that feed the world. We will see how a few grams of this cosmic debris are the only reason we haven't already choked on our own pollution, and why the global food supply would vanish without it. The quote 17 of the Urals was about to become the hidden engine of the 20th century. For a long time, we viewed platinum as a passive observer. It was the metal of standards, the immortal resident of vaults, the substance that simply refused to interact with the world. But in the early 20th century, our understanding of element 78 shifted from what it is to what it does. We discovered that platinum possesses a near miraculous ability that borders on alchemy. It is a catalyst. In the language of chemistry, a catalyst is a ghost in the machine, a substance that causes a reaction to happen thousands of times faster without being consumed itself. Platinum is the most powerful and versatile catalyst known to science, and this single property is the invisible foundation upon which your daily life is built. To understand the weight of this, we have to look at the air you breathe. In December 1952, a disaster struck London that remains one of the deadliest environmental events in history. A quote 18 descended on the city. For 5 days, a thick yellow fog, laden with coal smoke and sulfur dioxide, trapped Londoners in a lethal cage. People couldn't see their own feet. Buses had to be led by men carrying lanterns. By the time the wind cleared the air, 4,000 people were dead. In the weeks that followed, 8,000 more perished from respiratory failure. The world realized that the industrial city had become a gas chamber. The solution to this problem was not just better laws, but a specific arrangement of atoms. If you go outside and look at your car, you are looking at a machine that emits lethal carbon monoxide and unburnt hydrocarbons. But before those gases leave the tailpipe, they pass through a honeycomb structure coated in the microscopic layer of platinum, palladium, and rhodium. This is the catalytic converter. Inside that device, a silent, high-speed miracle occurs. As the poisonous gases touch the surface of the platinum, the metal's electrons reach out and weaken the bonds of the toxic molecules. It literally tears them apart and reassembles them into harmless water vapor, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide. Platinum doesn't quote 19 the pollution. It simply provides a surface where the pollution can solve itself. A few grams of platinum per car are the only reason we can live in modern cities without suffocating. Without this element, the air in New York, Tokyo, or Shanghai would be toxic within hours. We are a species that moves on wheels, and we only survive our own mobility because of a grey metal born in the heart of a kilonova. But platinum's role in our survival goes much deeper than the tailpipe of a car. It reaches all the way to the food on your plate. There is a staggering, uncomfortable truth that most people never consider. Half of the nitrogen atoms in your body did not come from the natural world. They came from a factory. In the early 1900s, humanity was facing a, quote, 20.
The Earth's soil was exhausted, and we were running out of natural fertilizer. Without a way to fix nitrogen from the air into a form plants could use, the global population was hitting a hard ceiling of about 3 to 4 billion people. Mass starvation was a mathematical certainty. The solution was the Haber-Bosch process, but that was only half the battle. To turn that nitrogen into the massive quantities of nitric acid required for modern explosives and, more importantly, high-efficiency fertilizers, we needed a catalyst. The Ostwald process, developed by Nobel laureate Wilhelm Ostwald, uses a fine mesh of platinum and rhodium wires. When ammonia gas is passed over this glowing red-hot platinum screen, it is instantly oxidized. This reaction is the gateway to nitric acid, which is the gateway to the fertilizers that feed 8 billion people. It is no exaggeration to say that if platinum vanished tomorrow, the industrial agricultural system would collapse. Within a year, the global food supply would drop by 50%. Billions would starve. Platinum is not just a luxury.
It is the chemical bridge that allows 4 billion quote, _21 humans to exist on this planet. However, this reliance on platinum creates a massive logistical and geological vulnerability. Platinum is one of the rarest materials in the Earth's crust. While we mine thousands of tons of gold and millions of tons of copper every year, the total world production of platinum is a mere 180 to 200 tons. To put that in perspective, all the platinum ever mined in human history would fit inside an average-sized living room. That's it. That is the entire supply for the world's cars, its hospitals, its electronics, and its food systems. And almost all of it comes from one single, specific spot on the map. Over 70% of the world's platinum is pulled from the Bushveld igneous complex in South Africa. 2 billion years ago, a massive intrusion of magma from the Earth's mantle spread out under the surface, cooling slowly over millions of years. As it cooled, the heavy platinum group metals settled into thin, horizontal layers. One of these, the Merensky Reef, is a geological miracle. A layer of rock only a few centimeters to a meter thick that stretches for hundreds of kilometers. Mining this reef is an exercise in human endurance. The shafts go deep, up to 2.5 kilometers into the Earth. At those depths, the rock itself is hot, reaching temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius and higher. Thousands of miners work in cramped, dangerous tunnels, hacking away at a reef so thin they often have to crawl to reach it. To produce a single ounce of platinum, enough to make one wedding ring, you have to mine, crush, and process over 10 tons of ore. The process takes months, moving from the darkness of the deep mine through massive crushing plants to high-heat smelters. This creates a terrifying bottleneck. The modern world is a high-tech structure built on a foundation that is physically located in a handful of mines in a single region of the world. Any political instability, any labor strike, or any geological disaster in that one area ripples through the entire global economy. When the price of platinum spikes, the cost of food, medicine, and transport follows. But why is this metal so uniquely capable? Why does it work as a catalyst where others fail? It comes down to a concept called adsorption. Platinum's surface is a perfect chemical dance floor. Its atoms have an electron configuration that is just sticky enough to catch passing molecules like oxygen or nitrogen, but not so sticky that it holds onto them forever. It holds them in place, stresses their internal bonds until they snap, and then lets the new, reassembled molecules float away. It is the ultimate facilitator, the middleman of the molecular world. In the next part, we will look at how this same indifferent metal entered the human body, not as a standard, but as a weapon against our most terrifying internal enemy. We will see how a mistake in a biology lab led to a discovery that has saved millions of lives from cancer. And we will explore the future where platinum might be the key to our first real steps into deep space. The little silver that the Spanish threw away
was about to become the most intimate metal in human history. We have explored platinum as the anchor of our measurements and the invisible engine of our industry. But there is a chapter in its biography that is far more intimate. It is the story of how this cosmic debris entered the human body, not as a decoration, but as a weapon. Platinum is famously indifferent to life. It does not rust in our blood, and it does not react with our tissues. This noble silence is exactly why we trusted it to define the kilogram. But in 1965, a biophysicist named Barnett Rosenberg discovered that under the right conditions, platinum's indifference vanishes, and it becomes a cold, efficient executioner.
Rosenberg wasn't looking for a cure for cancer. He was at Michigan State University, studying the effects of electric fields on living cells. He used a colony of E. coli bacteria and, to ensure the experiment was quote, _28, he chose platinum electrodes. He chose them specifically because they were supposed to be inert, chemical ghosts that would pass electricity through the liquid without participating in the biology. But when he turned on the current, something bizarre happened. The bacteria didn't die, but they stopped dividing. Instead of multiplying, the individual cells grew into long, spaghetti-like strands, hundreds of times their normal length. Rosenberg realized that something was preventing the cells from cutting themselves in two.
After months of investigation, he found the culprit. The platinum electrodes weren't as inert as he thought. In the presence of chloride and ammonium in the nutrient broth, the electric current was slowly dissolving the platinum, creating a specific molecule, cisplatin. This discovery turned the world of oncology upside down. Cisplatin and the quote 29 platinum drugs that followed, like carboplatin and oxaliplatin, became what doctors now call the quote 30 But the way they work is a masterclass in molecular violence. When a platinum drug enters a cancer cell, it sheds its outer layers and heads straight for the nucleus. There, it searches for the DNA, the master code of the cell. The platinum atom finds two specific rungs on the genetic ladder, usually guanine bases, and binds to them with an unbreakable grip. It creates a quote 31 a molecular knot that physically kinks the DNA strand. When the cancer cell tries to divide, it attempts to quote 32 its DNA. But it hits the platinum knot and stops. The cellular machinery grinds to a halt. The cell realizes its code is corrupted beyond repair, and, following a grim biological protocol, it triggers apoptosis, programmed cell suicide. Because cancer cells divide much faster than healthy cells, they hit these platinum, quote, 33 more often. It is a profound irony. The metal that was forged in the collision of neutron stars, the most stable and, quote, 34 substance we know, is used to force immortality-seeking cancer cells to finally die. Today, platinum-based chemotherapy is a cornerstone of treatment for millions of patients. If you have a friend or a family member who survived testicular, ovarian, or lung cancer, there is a high probability that they owe their life to a few atoms of element 78 that were once part of a laboratory mistake. But platinum's medical role isn't limited to killing. Its noble indifference makes it the ultimate material for survival hardware. Because the human immune system cannot see platinum, it doesn't attack it. This makes it the perfect material for the electrodes in pacemakers that keep hearts beating, and for the deep brain stimulators that silence the tremors of Parkinson's disease. We are increasingly becoming a species augmented by platinum, biological machines with silver-grey hearts and nerves. However, as we move from the hospital to the global horizon, we see that platinum is about to be asked to perform its greatest task yet. We are standing at the dawn of the Quote underscore 37 underscore underscore. The world is desperate to move away from fossil fuels, and hydrogen is the most promising alternative. But hydrogen is a difficult fuel to tame. To turn hydrogen into electricity without burning it, and without releasing a single gram of carbon, we need a fuel cell. And at the heart of every high-performance fuel cell sits a catalyst. Currently, there is only one material that can facilitate the reaction with the speed and durability required for a global transport system: platinum. Every hydrogen-powered car, bus, and ship requires significantly more platinum than a traditional internal combustion engine. If we were to replace only 10% of the world's fleet with hydrogen vehicles, the demand for platinum would exceed the total global production by hundreds of percent. We are entering a period of, quote, 38, that the world hasn't seen since the early days of the oil boom. This scarcity is driving a new kind of modern alchemy. Scientists are currently working on nano-layering, trying to coat cheap metals like iron or nickel with a skin of platinum only a few atoms thick. They are trying to stretch our tiny living room-sized cube of platinum across the entire planet's energy grid. But even with our best technology, the math remains stubborn. Platinum is a finite gift from the stars. It is the bottleneck of our green future. This reality has led some to look away from the Earth entirely. If you look at the near-Earth objects, the asteroids that drift past our planet, many of them are rich in platinum group metals. A single metallic asteroid, only a few hundred meters wide, could contain more platinum than has ever been mined in all of human history. What was once the fever dream of science fiction, mining the heavens, is becoming a calculated investment for the world's largest corporations. We may soon find ourselves returning to the source. The same kilonova that sprayed platinum across the galaxy created the asteroids, and to survive our own technological growth, we may have to go back out into the dark to reclaim those fragments. Platinum has been a piece of garbage in a Colombian river, a secret currency in London, a standard in a French vault, and a savior in a cancer ward. It is a metal that demands we be better, more precise, more inventive, and more daring. As we move into the final chapter of its story, we will see that platinum isn't just a resource, it is a mirror. It shows us our past in the stars and our potential in the void. And it reminds us that while we are fragile and temporary, the things we build with element 78 are designed to last forever. There is a concept in physics that dictates the ultimate fate of everything you see: entropy. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that the universe is a one-way street toward chaos. Iron eventually surrenders to oxygen and turns into rust. Wood rot, stone crumbles under the patient rhythm of the rain, and even gold, the ancient symbol of eternity, can be dissolved if the acid is strong enough and the heat is high enough. Everything is breaking down, radiating away, and returning to the dust. Except for platinum. In the real world, the world of humid air, salty oceans, and acidic soil, platinum behaves as if the laws of entropy were written for other, lesser materials. A platinum ring dropped into the sea today will lie on the ocean floor for 1 million years. And if a different species were to find it after the continents have shifted and the mountains have been ground into sand, that ring would still hold its luster. It is a metal that simply refuses to participate in time. This brings us back to that triple-locked vault in Sèvres, France, and the cylinder known as the Grand K. For over a century, that specific piece of platinum iridium was the anchor of human trade and science. It was the only object in the universe that could not, by definition, weigh anything other than exactly 1 kilogram. But in 2019, humanity did something remarkable. We fired the metal. Scientists realized that even platinum wasn't perfect enough for our digital age. When they compared the Grand K to its official copies, they found that the weights had drifted by about 50 micrograms, the weight of a single fruit fly's wing.
No one knew if the copies had gained weight or if the original had lost it.
The immortal metal had failed us because it was still a physical thing, and physical things are vulnerable to the chaos of the world. Today, the kilogram is defined by the Planck constant, a mathematical number derived from the laws of quantum mechanics. We moved the foundation of our reality from a piece of metal to a piece of math. But the Grand K still sits in its vault. It is no longer the kilogram, but it remains as a monument to the era when we trusted element 78 more than we trusted our own equations. It sits there, cold and silver, indifferent to the fact that it has been replaced by a ghost of logic. This indifference is the true core of Platinum's story. We call it noble, a word we invented to describe its refusal to tarnish. We call it precious, a word we use to describe our own greed and the difficulty of digging it out of the South African heat. We call it a savior when it kills a tumor or cleans the air of a city. But Platinum doesn't know it is noble, and it doesn't care that it is precious. The atoms of platinum in your phone, your car, or your body are billions of years older than the Earth. They have survived the death of stars and the birth of our solar system. They have been ignored as trash by conquistadors and hoarded as treasure by kings. They have been used to poison bacteria in a lab and to provide the breath of life to 8 billion people through industrial agriculture. And they will outlast us. When the last human has spoken, and our cities have been reclaimed by the forest and the tide, the platinum will remain. It will be our most durable legacy, a techno-fossil embedded in the rock strata of the Anthropocene. Geologists of a distant future will find a strange, thin layer in the Earth's crust. A sudden spike in platinum, palladium, and rhodium.
They will see that for one brief, violent geological moment, a species gathered these rare cosmic splashes from the dirt and used them to power a global web of energy and thought. We are the temporary tenants of these atoms. We borrow them for a few decades to keep our hearts beating or to drive our machines, and then we return them to the Earth. Platinum is the silent witness to our ambition and our fragility. It reminds us that while we are busy with our wars, our economies, and our green transitions, the universe is operating on a schedule that ignores our existence. Every atom of element 78 is a piece of a disaster that happened in the deep dark of space. A fragment of a kilonova that traveled across the void to end up in your hand. It is a reminder that we are built from the wreckage of the universe, and that we have used that wreckage to build something beautiful, complex, and desperately fragile. Platinum doesn't hope, it doesn't fear, and it doesn't rust. It just waits. It waited 4 billion years for us to find it, and it will wait another 4 billion for whatever comes next. It is the metal at the end of time, the silver-grey ghost of the stars, held in a triple-locked vault, watching us flicker and fade. If you've made it this far, you've traveled from the muddy rivers of Colombia to the quantum vaults of France and the deep mines of South Africa. This journey into the biography of Platinum is part of our ongoing effort to decode the hidden physics of history. If you found this analysis valuable, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. It is the only way to support the deep research required for these scripts. I'd love to hear your perspective in the comments below. Does it bother you that our modern world depends entirely on a metal so rare it could fit in a single room? Or is there something poetic about the fact that our survival is tied to the debris of a dead star? Let's discuss. Thank you for watching.